Like, unfortunately, and this goes into your second question of what kind of women are we choosing to date if we know that they will weaponize our vulnerability? The simple answer is they are regular women. They're not even evil or anything.
The reason why men don't open up emotionally is because men treat their emotional sanctity the way women treat their sexual sanctity, right? And when you give up either before you're comfortable, it always makes you feel slightly cheapened.
Absolutely. I agree.
Why would you do this to me? You sick bastard!
It's a world where men who cry too long, too intensely, or at inconvenient times are mocked mercilessly.
There is not a single narcissistic or high conflict personality person I have ever heard of in which this mobilization and weaponization of another person's vulnerabilities does not occur at some point.
I don't know. I don't know whether people should start being vulnerable, which is, I don't know if that's good advice. You know what? I don't know.
My last relationship, he shared with me that he thought that one of the kids that was his might not be his child.
Ouch.
So then in an argument, it was something about the kids, and I said, that ain't your fucking kid anyway.
Whoa.
See, and that was ugly.
Whoa.
Y'all be doing the most.
That's an example.
What happened?
Whoa.
What was the argument? I can't remember.
No. What happened?
He broke up with you immediately.
No, he did not. But he said, I would rather you call me a fuck nigga than say what you said.
You know, you can't even handle your own vulnerability. How then are you expected to
handle the next person,
somebody else's, right? And then we just want to judge this girl for, failing to handle yours when you never taught her how to handle her own. And it's not fair. Maybe this is an opportunity to say, hey man, as a society, I think we're all twisted, we all need help, we all...
Disclaimer.
Some women will do and some women will cover you. And they know that that's how we've been taught to say, as a wife, you cover the mistakes of your husband. Just as a husband, you ought to cover your wife's mistakes.
True.
But if you are with a person who's going to use your vulnerability against you, is it not a sign that you have picked the wrong person to start with? And again, it's like, how did you pick?
Okay, personally, I felt you only know a person, right? In that situation, like when they begin weaponizing it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
she didn't show you the signs that I'm a kind that...
I doubt. Personally, I feel when a person is pushed to the corner, that's where you begin to see their real color.
But you shouldn't, I don't know, but I think that before you say you're marrying a person, you should have seen that person pushed to a corner. Maybe not that particular corner, maybe not that one, but I feel like for you to say, okay, I'm marrying Chris now, I should have had enough opportunities to see him angry, opportunities to see him in abundance, in lack, and maybe not all situations, but I feel like there should be enough situations. I'm like, all right, I know this guy and I'm ready to have this guy father the children, my children. But if I'm just going to quickly say yes, I'll be shocked. There'll be many situations where I'll be shocked.
But do you really think you can really understand a person all entirely?
Not entirely, but their core. Their core.
But how do you press those buttons so that you know?
You'll be open. You know what the problem is? Like when you're dating a person. I don't know about guys. I'm going to speak to girls because I speak to girls and I'm a girl. You just want to be faking the whole time. You want to be pretending the whole time. We know that many times we're not going to be late. Okay, I'm changing, guys, but I'm typically late. Right? I'm typically late, and I'm kind of impatient, right? And I get pissed off about a lot of things, right? That's the type of person that I am. Not the best. I'm changing, but I can choose to say, I'm dating you and I'm going to hide these things. I'm going to make sure that I'm always on time. I'm going to make sure that even though I'm impatient, I don't say it. I'm going to make sure, for example, My husband, when we were dating, he doesn't like texting. He doesn't like being on his phone. He doesn't like that type of thing, right? And it was clear to say, I don't like being on social media. I'll be like, I'm WhatsApping you, you only responding after 2 hours. Like, what's that? Then he'll say, I don't like social media, so I'm not gonna be there. And I'm like, you don't like social media, but I expect the person that I am dating to be on social media, to miss me, to, even if it's not your thing, my expectation is that you be there. And then it's up to him to say, this expectation, is it a fair expectation for him? And if it is not, it's okay. Then he can say, I don't like this. Sorry, ma'am, I can't meet the standard, right? Or he can say, I don't like the standard, but I'm willing to compromise.
Yeah.
So it's a thing of exposing not all of you, but all of you, right? Like in bits and pieces to say, okay, now I'm on stage 2. Now I have to let him know that this is what I want. But I feel like a lot of people, especially girls, that's why people go dating for 5 years, yet they want to marry, but they're scared of saying, guy, when are you marrying me? We're failing to be honest with each other right from the get-go. And then when we are in the marriage for 5 years or however long, that's when the things are showing. Then you're like, yeah, I didn't know he's like this. You didn't show who you are. He didn't show who he is. Everyone was just
But one thing I've learned about vulnerability is the minute you are vulnerable, or rather, the minute you confront a person, let's say you're in that situation where the next person is not really meeting your expectations.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
One of the issues is you're afraid to be confronted as well.
Yes.
Hence, majority of people will not address what they see wrong in the next person.
Yes.
Because the minute you do that, you're actually putting yourself to be confronted and exposed as well. So majority of people will rather not do that.
Which is a problem on its own.
Which means a lot of people are actually afraid of being vulnerable.
Yes, both girls and boys.
Openly vulnerable, yes. A lot of people are afraid of openly being vulnerable. But to answer Katleho's question, is it only women that can exploit someone's vulnerability? Of course not. The fact that women are human beings means that men can do it too. We're totally human as well, right? You all think we're dogs, but we're very much human.
I don't think that's another thing, stereotype.
Yeah,
I just want to say, I think men are good and great. Thank you.
We're good and great. We're good and great.
And necessary.
Exactly.
And necessary.
Yes.
Bro, somebody said we need to go to war because we have too much time. Men have too much time. Let's start a war or something.
What do you mean men have too much time?
Based on
Forget that person. But anyway, let's go back to your thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, men can use your vulnerability, but it's different because a woman is somehow expected to be vulnerable, right? Women are expected to be emotional. They're expected to show their vulnerability. They're expected to act impulsively. They're expected to do so many different things. And in that checklist there, it all kind of like boils down to these are what's expected of a typical woman. So if my woman is vulnerable to me, I will not, it won't be weird for me because it's like I kind of expected you to be vulnerable and open up, right?
Yeah.
For the mere fact that we're in a relationship. Look, it doesn't even have to be real. Like you said, women can fake things, right? It's fine. She could fake cry, and me being as emotionally intelligent as I am would be like, oh my gosh, she's crying. What do I do now? Blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? You're expected to be vulnerable. So it's so much more difficult for me to use that against you. But I'm not though. You see, as a guy, I'm not expected to be vulnerable, at least not openly. I'm human at the end of the day. I've got to be vulnerable, but I'm not going to be vulnerable in front of you, much less in front of a woman, no offense. Because there's this stereotype of the, or something that's really popular now is the emasculated man, right?
Yes.
The man whose power has been taken away from him, the man who is less than what is expected of a typical man.
Yeah.
And vulnerability is right up there with the key qualities of such a man.
Yeah.
I don't want to look like that guy. I don't want to be that guy. So me being vulnerable is so much more detrimental than you being vulnerable, right? At least according to a society standard. Even in a relationship, like I could be dating the most understanding woman. That's what I think. But let me show vulnerability openly in front of her, right?
Yeah.
It's going to come as a bit of a shock, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if it starts becoming a consistent thing, I'm not sure she's going to like it very much, right?
If you are vulnerable.
If you're vulnerable not all the time, but if you make it a case where like you can't deal with your things by yourself and you need to bring
we always have that joke where you burst into tears.
When you burst into tears, exactly.
I can't take life anymore.
Bro, life is gonna trap you, bro. So you've got to put your hands up and defend
Imagine
yourself.
how much that can be weaponized against you.
It can be in a big way, Katlego. Like, unfortunately, and this goes into your second question of what kind of women are we choosing to date if we know that they will weaponize our vulnerability. The simple answer is they are regular women. They're not even evil or anything. Unfortunately, that's just how society kind of wires us to say the man isn't supposed to be vulnerable like
But
that.
that's the problem. That's the problem. And I feel like not enough conversations are being had, honest conversations. Like you saying regular women. And I don't want women fighting with me for this, okay, please. But I feel like a lot of women at this stage, you can say regular women, their idea of marriage, their idea of being a wife, the idea of being a girlfriend, of being a woman, the idea of men is so wrong, it's so distorted, right, at this stage. We have so many women, even Christian women, who are celebrating the movie Barbie, who are celebrating, feminism that's like on a very high level.
Steroid.
Like, like very toxic feminism, right? And those are regular women. And you are dating such a person, and then you are going to be shocked when she uses your vulnerability against you, when she mocks you when you are broke, when she mocks you when you're not being a typical man, and then you're going to be shocked at that. And that's what I'm talking about. And I feel like that's where we go wrong. You just see people on Instagram or wherever at work looking right, without taking the time to check what is in this girl's head. Even guys, not just girls.
Yeah,
I'm just talking here because this is what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to be shocked when they respond in that way. And I think,
don't you think, there's an exception to this. And the exception being, some people were trained, or rather were not trained to know how to be recipients of the next person's vulnerability.
Yes, it's even scary, right? Like sometimes you can't even be vulnerable with yourself. Like you can't have a moment to say, actually, I was hurt by this and that, just by yourself, right? Like you think therapy, a lot of people are against that. You think sitting down by yourself, leave your phone aside, leave traveling aside, just be alone and be with your emotions and understand and remember how you were treated as a child.
That's
remember
scary.
Your experience with your mom, the absence of your father, look at everything. You can't even handle your own vulnerability. How then are you expected to
handle the next person,
somebody else's, right? And then we just want to judge this girl for, failing to handle yours when you never taught her how to handle her own. And it's not fair. Maybe this is an opportunity to say, hey man, as a society, I think we're all twisted, we all need help, we all are broken, girls and boys, and we should do something about it.
True. I mean, personally, I think that's what I learned. Because if I remember in the past, we have friends that are very emotional and friends that are very much vulnerable, which I really appreciate and I'm astonished by.
Yeah.
They are like, dude, you are being vulnerable like this?
Yeah.
That's like, I could never.
You can't cry in front of the homies.
Exactly. So
unless it's deep.
Having buddies like that and them being vulnerable, I remember in the past, I think I've adjusted now and I'm cool. In the past, they would be vulnerable and it will make me uncomfortable. Not that Not that they're saying the wrong thing, but no, it's like,
How can you be?
Like, what must happen?
yeah, like you're making me feel emotional.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm uncomfortable. I don't know how to react.
Yeah.
You know, I still don't know how to react. And I understand majority of people, it's not that they want to weaponize vulnerability. It's just, they just don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to handle it. And another thing is, most of the time, you might find out that you being vulnerable, you traumatize the next person in the process.
Yeah.
And now you become two damaged individuals. Now everyone is damaged.
It's like what you were saying, to say when you start off in relationships, you can't be honest with the next person, because you know that if you confront their issue, then your issue also needs to be confronted, right? It's the same thing. Like, we're not used to being honest. Even in our families, especially as black people, like, you don't talk. Like, if your mom is doing something that's hurting you, you just keep it inside, right?
You are
to be silent.
Yeah, you can't say.
Otherwise, you're disrespectful.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Don't you think that's where it's learned?
I think a lot
In a way.
of stuff has happened to us in our upbringing that, yeah, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like, even a conversation, right? Like, they're saying, yeah, just open communication in marriage and whatever. If your husband or your wife is hurting you or doing something that hurts you, just talk about it. But I can't just, like, I'm 25, now I must just start to open up. But growing up, like, as a black person, in home, in church, in school, you were told, just shut up, just be quiet. No matter what you're feeling, you need to just
bottle
keep
it in.
Right?
Which is toxic. It's
And
terrible.
now suddenly I must just open up just like that. But no one is teaching me how to open up. You're just telling me open up, but you're not telling me how to open up.
Exactly.
So it's very easy to say, hey, women are weaponizing your vulnerability, but why are they? Like, can we start there, you know?
What's the root cause
Yeah.
of people weaponizing your vulnerability?
Yeah.
Period.
I mean,
Yeah.
one thing I think I've come to learn is majority of times we just focus on the what, We don't focus on the how and why. Because, I mean, how and why literally somehow elicit explanation to things.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just facts. Because what is just based on facts. Yeah, women are weaponizing vulnerability. How and why?
You don't care.
Those questions are not.
No, we don't really focus on that. And I don't know. I don't know whether people should start being vulnerable, which is, I don't know if that's good advice. You know what? I don't know.
It's okay to not know.
It's okay to not know. But for one, here's where I stand with this whole thing, right? As a guy, speaking as a man, I do believe men should be given a platform to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Necessary.
I always say this, and you can make of it what you like, but personally, I just feel like it is really, really hard being a man. Like,
It
if
is.
you're a man, you can relate. If you're a woman, I don't know. Maybe you can say the same thing, but
I think it's
believe
harder
you
being
me,
a man.
I always make
so?
like I always
I
make a
think so.
joke, right, with my sister. I'm like, being a man is like an extreme sport, right? She never gets it. I don't know. Maybe one day she does. I hope. I was gonna say something out of pocket, but anyway. Yo, so glad I caught myself there. But anyway, whew, we would have been cancelled for real. But anyway, I always say, like, it's very difficult, right? It's complex. Let's use a different word. It's complex. The way I understand it, it's quite complex being a man. Not to say that it's simple being a woman. I have no idea. I can't relate. I'm not gonna speak for you because I can't relate. Speak about what I know, right? It's complex being a man, and there are many different factors that make up who you are as a person, much more as a man. So now, vulnerability, is very much human. You can be vulnerable, but my stance is men should be given the platform, and I think the best platform that men should have to be vulnerable is with other men. However, no, let me tell you why I say
Okay,
other
continue,
men, though,
continue.
because
Yeah.
other men can relate.
Okay.
Other men could advise you properly. Other men could more or less bear some of that burden with you, especially if it's older men, if you're a younger guy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because then they've probably been through that, or they have an idea of what that journey might be like.
Sure.
And they might be able to advise you, right? Going back to Christian principles, we are taught that there are overseers in the church. There's different ranks of people that are in the church, right? And one thing for me that stood out always is that these people were mature men.
Yeah.
They weren't kids, do you understand? Like, they were actually mature men. And it begs the question, why were they mature men? Why couldn't it just be like 27-year-old guy come and now start telling people how it should be? Nah, bro, because they have enough life experience that they can actually relate to a lot of the things that's happening.
True.
They're like that middle child between the younger and the older generation. They kind of like
mediator.
They get it. So men, we should be vulnerable, and I believe in proper platforms facilitated by other men.
Yeah.
Okay, bro, do you think vulnerability, is somehow a pre-requirement, for growth in a relationship?
Do I think vulnerability is a prerequisite for growth in a relationship?
Yeah.
I don't think so, by the way. No. There's so many things that make up the essence of relationship, and growth in a relationship depends on so many different things. Trust, for one, is the key requirement for growth in a relationship.
Which is fine, but going back to Katlego's point that she made about it is important that we address certain issues.
True.
And those issues can only be addressed if you are vulnerable. Now, if you say it's not a requirement, what happens to those issues? Are we going to address them, or we leave them as they are?
Honesty is a key policy in any relationship. Now, I can be honest with you, but not vulnerable at the same time.
No, I think
believe
it's impossible.
I believe I could be completely honest with you and not vulnerable.
How so?
At exactly the same time.
Chris.
Let me give you an example.
Okay.
So, come home from work. I've been laid off,
Yeah.
Man's been fired.
Yeah.
It's chai. Get home. Scenario one. Baby, please sit down.
Okay.
Lost my job. Okay. That's dramatizing. I'm kidding. I did that on purpose. I'm sorry. That was dramatic. But if I need to open up and say, okay, no, I've been laid off and this and this and that, and then with that sadness on me, because now I'm sad, I'm thinking about what's going to happen to my family, this and this and that. It might invoke some sort of emotional reaction. It might cause me to say, or link it to something else that's bothering me. That's me being open and vulnerable to you, right?
Yeah.
That's true. I'm being both honest and vulnerable. There's scenario two where I could be factual, where I'm telling you the what.
Yeah.
Even if I tell you the how and why, because those can still be facts. How and why can still be facts.
Yeah.
I got fired because I was underperforming at work. There. I've communicated you the same message, but I wasn't it didn't lead me to be completely vulnerable and open. Okay. Maybe I've dealt with it in my own way, but it's not, for me, the biggest prerequisite.
Not the biggest, but like if you were to say, okay, this happened, that happened at work, I was underperforming and that, and I feel this way, right? I think you getting into that realm of this is how I feel will lead to the growth, because as your wife, I'll say, okay, so this is how you feel. That I know this is how you're feeling, right? And then we can work on it together. And you're not just going to sit with that negative feeling all by yourself and get past it all by yourself. We're going to get through it together. And in getting through it together, our bond is stronger, our relationship is stronger. That's one experience that we can later look back on, like when our child is 16 and is giving us issues, and we can be like, oh, remember
but
that time? We've gotten
before.
through that. So just by virtue of you sharing, we are stronger.
But I've shared. Why must I tell you how I feel, though?
No, I'm just saying.
Chris,
Okay,
no, but no.
How are you going to be?
It goes back to, okay, what is my role as your helper?
Absolutely.
What is my role there?
What if my conversation was somewhere along the lines of, right, I've been laid off at work. Let's revisit the finances. Suppose you still have a job, and let's see, because obviously, suppose I'm the breadwinner or I bear most of the financial burden. could we temporarily do this? We're talking about it strategically, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I don't feel bad about it. What if the conversation is not towards that for now, at least for now?
So
Maybe
at some point you will let me know how you're
for some point, look, I might not,
Never.
I feel like it's not necessary, honestly.
Why is
Oh
it
my
not
God.
Let me tell you why, bro. Like, with our current, look, it's fine. You can talk about how you feel, and it's great. You should. I encourage. I just said that men should be given a platform to be
just
vulnerable.
not with their wives?
No. Of course, if not with your wife, who you gonna
said
talk
with
to?
men.
Yes, fine, with men. I'll defend that point. By the
Okay,
way.
defend
I'll
that
defend
point,
that point.
yeah.
But let me go back to I don't need to tell you how I feel about it. Personally, I think that people are talking a lot about how they feel,
Yes.
and it is not always relevant to the situation.
No,
You don't.
I think there are many people who are just telling us about their feelings, and it's very unnecessary.
Yeah.
They are there, right?
They are
But
there.
in this context,
In this
of
context,
the marriage as
yes.
your helper, I'm not saying you should tell me all your feelings, but I
Sure.
feel like there are certain times when I can help you carry that weight. I can, you know what? Sometimes, and men are like that. Like you just want to be quiet and move around, and then I'm gonna treat you as though you are okay. I'm gonna say things as though you're okay.
What if I am
And then-
okay, though?
No, when you're not okay.
Okay,
but you
yeah.
have not told me that you're
For
not
sure.
okay. And then I'm just, then like, man, I'm tired. Like, but you only tell me like when it's like, why did you not say I'm tired? Can you just chill? Can you just wait? I'm heavy right now,
Exactly.
So that helps with the relationship.
Exactly.
So it was necessary for you to tell me.
I did not need to tell you how.
No,
I
but
feel.
bro, this is one thing.
Yeah.
Vulnerability is a two-way street.
Okay, fine.
The minute you are vulnerable, the next person adjusts
Yes, I know
and can
this is
relate to
where
you,
are.
and their behavior
Absolutely.
adjusts.
Yes.
Now, imagine you being all robotic.
No. I'm not
Being
saying,
technical,
I'm not
yeah?
saying I need to be robotic. But what I'm saying is, because look, there will be times
Yes.
where you must open up. In fact, we should open up more. We really should, as men. We should really open up more to our wives. Yeah.
Okay.
But you've got context is important, guys. Like really.
So if you've been laid off, it's not necessary. Why?
What if I've got a plan B? What if it's not that deep to me? What if there's so many different what ifs? Okay, what if this is me just stating a fact to you, right? I don't want to know how you feel about it. I'm just telling you so that you know.
No,
FYI.
I don't want you to know how I feel. I'm just saying your feelings in this time, right? Like, however you feel after you are fired, that can help me know how best to serve you.
What if I come with the biggest smile on my face and I'm happy as pie?
That's good.
And I
That's
tell you,
fine.
I've been laid off. I just lost my income.
Yes.
How would you
Then-
feel
then
about
I'll be
that?
like, okay, so why are you happy? Then you'll say, okay, I hated this job, and I'm happy that now that I've been laid off, those dreams that we've been having, that plan that we have, because working 40 hours a week, we couldn't execute this. So now I'm gonna give myself these 3 months. So I'm so glad.
What if I spin
And
a
now-
scenario?
Yes?
Sorry to cut you off. Let me spin a scenario where I'm smiling, I've been laid off, and you're like, why are you happy you've been laid off? And I'm like, well, because let's just start. I didn't feel like doing that job. And by the way, those goals and expectations were too much of a burden on me. I'm gonna chill and play FIFA for a while because that makes me happy.
What is a while?
You've become
I don't know, whatever makes me happy.
Chris,
But then I know that, okay, this is where then we can have that conversation. Instead of me every day I'm going to work, and then for 6 months I see you just FIFA, and then I don't know what's happening.
we'll sell the console.
What? That's gonna make me sad. Why do you want to sell the console?
Yeah, because you didn't address the things that needed to be addressed.
Okay, no, but Katleo, you make an interesting point. The root cause must be discussed, right?
Exactly.
However, it is not always necessary, is what I'm saying. For growth in a relationship, you need vulnerability. It's a key ingredient. You've got to be vulnerable to each other. It's a key ingredient. Is it the key ingredient?
No, it's not the key.
Yeah.
Jesus is the key.
Amen to that. Jesus is the key ingredient. You all heard it first on Table Talk. Subscribe and like the page, bro. We tell you guys facts. There's nuggets of info here.
Okay. I'm not saying it's there. I'm just saying it's necessary. And
For sure.
I've had the experience where I know as ladies, we overshare, right? With husbands and even with people that we don't know, then you regret. You just met a person now and you just feel like, oh, let me tell her everything, then you regret in 2 minutes. While men just don't. But then as you continue in the relationship, you see that if only I knew that this is how you're feeling, I wasn't going to do that. If only I knew that this is where you are, I was rather going to do this, you know? But sometimes we are shocked. Like, I'm trying to help. I think I'm helping, but because you didn't share that portion of how you're feeling, where you're at mentally, then I don't know how best to serve you. But I'm here to serve you as your helper.
Exactly. Question. Do you think selective vulnerability is important?
It might be. It might be. Like I watched this lady, her name is Bindi Mark. Any woman who wants to have a wonderful relationship and marriage should follow her on YouTube. And I've never read this book, but she read Men Are From Where? Mars?
The Women from Venus.
Women from Venus. Yeah. And she said that the gist of that book is that we're so different. We don't even know, but we are so different, right? As a woman, if I let's say I've been laid off, I just want to talk and say everything, and I just want to share. I want you to say, okay, help me here. You must also contribute, but that's not how you are. As a man, you want to just, okay, give me space, just chill, man, just chill, give me space. I'll solve this. I don't need you to solve it for me. I will solve it, right? And because flip, you guys, like, there's so much to this marriage thing. The whole relationship it's just so much, right? So you saying, can you overshare? And I think women to men, we tend to overshare, and it's like, whoa, man, like, can you just wait a minute, stop talking?
You traumatize the next person.
Yes, I feel like men are often traumatized by women oversharing. And what this lady says, she says, sometimes just, yes, you want to talk, that's who you are. It's not bad that I want to talk forever as a woman, but I need to know that my husband's not the person that I'm forever going to be talking to. Sometimes I should just call my mom and just talk to her for an hour. I should just go out, have coffee with my friend for 15 minutes or whatever, in order to not overshare with my husband. And it's not like I'm hiding something from him. He just doesn't want to hear everything.
Exactly.
Right? I can be vulnerable, but not forever. Sometimes I just want to be vulnerable about, like, my friend has gone through this. My husband doesn't care about what my friend has gone through. And if I'm telling him and I'm oversharing, it might look like he's insensitive, but he's not insensitive. He doesn't care. And it's fine for him not to care.
True.
But if I don't understand to say he's different, I'm different, he doesn't need to hear this, and him not needing to hear this doesn't make him a bad person. He's just being a guy, he's just being a man. Let me find a girl that I can talk to say, yo, I'm so pissed off this happened at work.
Because they can relate. Exactly. And I think that's where selective vulnerability comes in. You're selective with who to be vulnerable to because you know about what, and you know how they react.
It's the context.
And I think you are somehow selective because you know, okay, cool, I want to build a relationship. It's like with your boss.
Yeah, you can't tell your boss.
Exactly. On an emotional level, you can't be vulnerable like that. But maybe something related to work, you can be vulnerable with them. So, and I'm saying selective vulnerability.
For sure.
With your mom, you can be vulnerable to a certain extent because she will understand you in that way. You get it.
Yeah.
I get it. No, and Kat kind of, she defended my points earlier where I said men need a platform, and that should be among other men, right? You made that example that there are some things that as a woman, yes, you can tell your man about it, but the context just isn't contexting in that case, because, like, it's not that he's a terrible person, but he can't relate. What's he gonna tell you that will make that situation better? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
True.
Context. I can't just randomly go to my girlfriend and just tell them that, like the one time, bro, Arsenal lost this one game, right? And I was so mad because if we won that game, we would have had like 2 points to could have won the season. I'm sorry, this is heavy for me. Okay. This is deep. But anyway, I felt the type of way about that. I'm not gonna go and be like, hey, yo, babe, by the way, my team lost and I feel bad. Nah. What?
Okay.
I mean, it's a poor example, but you get the context,
Yeah,
right?
there are certain
It's
things
about
that-
the context.
Yeah.
It's about the context, bro.
You know the scenario where you come back from work, yeah? Then you burst down into tears. I got fired. And guess what? My dad also got fired. And when he got fired, we suffered. Then you just swirl in your tears.
Yeah, different situations. require-
Exactly. So do you guys advocate for therapy?
For sure.
I do. I definitely do.
Okay, so and do you guys advocate that people teach themselves how to be vulnerable?
Yeah, and also to the right people, because like how to involve, like when, about what, how, with who. Yeah, you need to know. You can't just it's like many things. When you go to buy a car, they need to know that you've learned how to drive, right?
True.
Before you operate on someone, they need to know that you know how to. But with the relationship things, like just get married, man. Just do relationships, man. Like we don't care whether you know it or not. So it is important to understand that we need to learn and actively try to learn.
And in closing, do you think communication is the most important thing in terms of vulnerability?
Communication is so important, guys. And like speaking as a lady, sometimes you don't know how to, like, you know how we roll as women, like you expect people to read your mind, right? Like, like if I'm quiet, you should say something. I think communication is one of the things that cause us to fail miserably in relationships, in different relationships, even at work. Like you just want to work hard and send emails at 10 p.m. and then you assume because I've done that, they're going to give me a raise or they're going to see that I'm working hard. But no, you need to say, actually, can I have a meeting with you 30 minutes? Okay, I've been with the company for so long and I feel like I've made a contribution for, So in all relationships, we need to communicate better, and I think that we are not.
Okay, so yeah, final word, Chris?
Final word would just be around your questions. Yes, of course, people do need to get help, professional help. Katleho rightly said, you must share, but with the right people. The benefit of speaking to a mental health professional is that there's a non-disclosure clause somewhere in your working contract, right? Get professional help if you feel like you need it, fine. If you don't want to talk about how you feel, that's also good. You don't have to. It's okay. But at the end of the day, yes, let's try and be open a bit more. Let's communicate better. And yeah, should work out pretty much, I think.
Okay. Well, anything else?
I think we just need to acknowledge that we're different and relate to each other with a desire to understand the next person instead of fight. It's like we're fighting, not just with the vulnerability thing, just in society as a whole. It's like men are constantly fighting against women, and we are not no one is thinking, men, come on, how can we best come together? And I think we need to stop fighting. We're all one, we're different, but we're one, all the human race, and we should desire to understand each other better, to serve each other better, men serving women better, women serving men better, and do the whole relationship thing as God intended.
Well,
that should be our desire.
True.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have nothing. Yeah. I have nothing. I guess I can only say God help us. Yeah. God help us.
Okay, so please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's got a lot of wise stuff. Oh, listen to me just... Anyway, let me just say it nicely. Hello guys, I'm Katlego Moagi. On YouTube, I'm Katie Moagi. That's Katie space Moagi. Please subscribe. There's a lot of great stuff there, stuff that a lot of people are too afraid to speak about but need to speak about. So look forward to seeing you there, and thank you guys for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to come through. I know you have a lot of responsibilities. Oh my God. But thank you.
It's a pleasure.
So guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave your comments below. Of course.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting topic, and I guess we'll be seeing you on the next one.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.